Welcome back to Fantasy 1.0, Week 4, Sits, Starts, Sleepers, DFS. Bet of the week. Let's do some trade talk too. Okay, there we go. Intro. There's no intro. Okay, so we're just going to get right into it because, always excuses, eh? I left my Mac at work. That's got the editing software on there. So we're just going like this. I got stuff to do, man. It's Friday, right? So do you. So you just watch this. Set your teams accordingly, make some bets, do whatever you want, and then off you go and you watch football on Sunday and you're all set. Thanks to yours truly, the expert. All right, so let's start with some starts. So I'm just going to go through some guys that are on the bubble right now or maybe on the bubble on your rosters, and you can sort of make some decisions based on what I'm telling you. All right, so here's one. Quincy Enunwa. You're like, well, why, Brad? Why Quincy Enunwa? He's playing the Jaguars. Well, guys, he's big. And Sam Darnold has to try to throw the ball to somebody. So I'm assuming that Jalen Ramsey and the boys are going to be sort of, let's say manning the periphery. Quincy is probably going to be lining up in the slot, maybe even as, well, not a tight end, but sort of, in that neighborhood right there. And again, he's Darnold's first look. I think he's got 30 looks or 30 targets, I should say, in the first 3 weeks. So it's a guy that you might want to fire up. Depending on your roster makeup, he might be able to sneak in there as a wide receiver 3 or in your flex. All right, so Gio Bernard, he's an RB1 every time he plays. Joe Mixon looks like he's out this week. He'll be catching passes out of the backfield. I think Atlanta gives quite a few passing yards up to running backs, and their D just isn't so hot anyway. So yeah, definitely fire Gio up. He won't be on waivers. I'm sure everybody picked somebody in your league. If not you, picked him up last week to replace Mixon. So if you got him, fire him up definitely. All right, so let's talk some San Francisco guys. Let's get this water ball all the way too before I spill it everywhere. Get in trouble. Okay, Kittle, Breida, fire those guys up. I think that Beathard will be looking at both of them, and from what I recall, and from going over my notes, I think that they both fared pretty well with him at the helm last year. But leaves something to be said for the wide receivers, who I will be mentioning in the sit portion of this episode. All right, Sterling Shepard. Evan Ingram is out. New Orleans likes to give up lots of points. I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I'm not sure what the over-under is for the Giants when they're playing New Orleans, but I expect it to be a shootout. With that being said, I think that a lot of Ingram's targets are going to be going to, disperse to the rest of the team, meaning that Shepard is probably going to get a 20% bump in targets right there, and if not even more than that, because of just the flow and the dynamic of the game, playing against a high-powered offense like New Orleans, who also has a crappy secondary. So off you go. Kerryon Johnson. So good old KJ. I think he's finally taken a hold of that backfield. So again, depending on your roster makeup, I think this is a guy that you might want to start against Dallas. Dallas is, I forget his name, but what's his name again? Anyways, he's not starting. They're middle linebacker, and he's sort of the the nucleus of that defense. So I expect Kerryon, if they if they do decide to actually play the best running back, which would be really novel, then maybe they should, or maybe he should have a good week. Again, this is a flex, maybe an RB2, depending on the depth of your league. All right, MWilliams, how you doing? Welcome to San Francisco, who I believe both of their corners are hurt or injured. Their starting corners are hurt or injured. Either way, I'm going to put MWilliams down for a touchdown this week. I hope you picked him up when I told you to since week 1. But anyways, if he's not on your team, he's on somebody else's, and they'll be starting him. But if he's on your team, start him. See that catch last week against the Rams? He's good. He's big and he's good. Tyler Boyd. So fire him up, even if Green plays. I think that I think this is going to be a high-scoring game again, and I think that him sitting there in your flex or your wide receiver 3 is a good bet. I'll stop saying flex and wide receiver 3. Okay, you know what I'm talking about now. Try not to be so repetitive. Aaron Jones. I think it's Aaron Jones's backfield. I tweeted that out today, not just against Buffalo, but I think for the season going forward. I think that Jamaal Williams has had his crack at being the lead back. I know he's great at pass protection, but another great way to protect the passer is to actually have a run game established that the defense has to think about. Hey, that's just me, and I'm not an expert. I'm just an expert at fantasy. Real life football, no, we'll leave that to the coaches. But anyways, I digress. Chris Godwin. I think there's some injuries to if I'm correct, to the Bears secondary as well. Godwin's got, I think, 3 touchdown receptions in the first 3 games. He had a bad first half last week, but he had a great second half. He's a talent. So, yeah, another guy you want to fire up in DFS as well, but we'll talk about that later. But anyways, put him in the positions that I've been talking about the whole time. Same with Callaway. Callaway, I want to see a game with him and Baker Mayfield together. I think that Mayfield's going to play a lot less conservatively than Tyrod, whichever he's calling himself. Anyways, yeah, so I'd like to see how that goes. I think he's going to be stretching, Mayfield's going to want to stretch the field. He's going to be looking Callaway's way against the Raiders this week. So, yeah, there's a guy. There's a guy for you. Okay, sits. Sit everybody from Tennessee. I've had enough of Tennessee. Just enough. Sit Dion, sit Derrick Henry, sit Corey Davis until we figure out what's going on with the quarterback situation. Just them as a team. Stay away from those guys. The teams that have pissed me off the most this year are the Dolphins and the Titans and the Raiders. They infuriate me. But anyways, again, I digress. But stay away. Yes, stay away. Which brings me to Amari Cooper. Stay away from Amari Cooper. That means he's going to get 130 reception yards with a touchdown this week just because I said that. He makes me nuts. Anyways, yeah, no. And Cleveland's D is underrated, man. I got to say that too. All wide receivers from San Francisco, for reasons mentioned in the first portion, they starts section. Stay away from Pettis because Goodwin is back. Stay away from Goodwin either way. And stay away from Garcon. Don't even bother with those guys. Tyler Lockett. So he's going to have Peterson shadowing him this week. I don't know what's going to happen there. So start Tyler Lockett with caution. I think that what do I think? I think Chris Carson is probably your guy to start with the Seahawks if you've got him. Anyways, I just got deep in thought there, didn't I? Jamaal Williams, I mentioned before why I want you to fire up Aaron Jones. I think you should be letting Jamaal take a seat. Marvin Jones, I know it sounds kind of crazy because you probably draft him in the 4th or the 5th round. But I think that it's Galladay's, I think it's Golladay now. Rotating the slot. But anyways, obviously, if you got nothing else, then start him. But I'm just saying start him with caution. He better not be your wide receiver 2 or better than that. You might be in some trouble. Alex Collins, I think this is going to be a pass-first game against the Steelers. You're going to want to be firing up some of those, not some of those. John Brown, you should be firing up for the Ravens. But, leave Collins on the bench. If you can. Hopefully you can. All right, here's my bet of the week. And by the way, I'm like 6-0 so far this year, so there's that. But again, just to sort of quickly, and this is the last time I'm going to say it, but this is how I bet. I bet on the team's going to win. I see some value in there, so if it's minus 200, so 2-1 odds, I'll take it if I think it's close to a lock. My close to lock this week prediction is the Eagles going to crappy Tennessee. I don't think that they've accounted for Wentz being at the quarterback. At the helm. Minus 190, so I'm taking Philly. That's it. That's all. What am I going to talk about now? I'm going to talk about DFS now. So I'm just going to go through some guys DFS. I play 50-50. I play 1, maybe 2, but I like to play 1 roster a week. These are some guys that have gotten my attention so far based on matchup and value and all that crap. So first off is Eli Manning. He's $5,600. I don't like spending a ton of money at quarterback. I like to find value in games that I think that could be blow-ups. Again, if there isn't a lot of pressure on Eli, like look what happened last week with the Texans. He had a good week because they gave him a couple seconds to throw the football. Against Dallas, it was a different story. Anyways, $5,600 is some good value there. Same amount, $5,600. Case Keenum, he's playing Kansas City, who just has a non-existent defense. So if he starts throwing the ball to Cortland Sutton more and less to Demaryius Thomas as well, I expect him to have a good week. He's still got Emmanuel Sanders there too, so there you go. All right, running back time. Okay, I'm just going to get this one out of the way because you guys are probably going to think I'm nuts. But I think that David Johnson is worth a look this week at $6,600. Who knows? Maybe they're going to realize that if they're behind, they should give him the ball. They should either throw him the ball or hand him the ball because he will hopefully give them the best chance to win the game. $6,600. I don't think it's too heavy of a bet to think that these guys might start using some common sense. In the dying minutes of the game, like last week, not give it to the backup running back, give it to the star like the top 5 in your league starting running back. I don't know. Again, I'm only good at fantasy. I'm not good at football, but Carlos Hyde, he gets about 15 touches a week. Yeah, there you go. Carlos Hyde, $5,500. I don't have to get too long-winded about that. Gio Bernard, for reasons stated above, $6,300, pretty good deal. Fire him up. Chris Carson, great value, $4,600. Don't listen to anything Pete Carroll says at the start of the week. I don't know if you've heard anything. I don't believe anything that guy says, as a side note. But again, if common sense prevails, he's been out playing Penny all year. Sorry for all you Penny lovers and Carson haters. I'm a Carson lover. I think he's good. Carson lover, that doesn't sound right. But anyways, yeah, so I think that's a great value right there. Obviously a little bit of risk associated with it, but hey, $4,600. Zeke, $7,700. There's your bell cow. If you want a guy that you know is going to get a bunch of touches, they got no wide receivers. They've got none. So he's the engine that's going to run that offense. $7,700, pretty good for a pretty high-powered engine. Speaking of high-powered engines, Juju Smith-Schuster, $7,700. That guy is lighting it up. So he's getting he's getting some Browns targets. He's getting all of Bell's targets, it looks like. As Bell's is just considering to sit there and eat popcorn on Sundays and just watch football. But anyways, I digress. Kenny Golladay is a pretty good value at $6,500. Again, I think he's their guy this year. He looks great. Nice big body. It sounds weird too. Big guy who gets the ball in the end zone. All right, there you go. $4,900 for Sterling Shepard. I got $48,000 for Will Fuller. I think that's a typo. It's $4,800. I think he's good. Here, let's just fix that before I copy and paste that into YouTube. Anyways, yeah, I think he's good for a touchdown against the crappy Colts. Tyler Boyd for reasons stated above. MWilliams for reasons stated above. Chris Godwin for reasons stated above. $4,600, $4,500, $4,500. All right, Taylor Gabriel. Tampa Bay's got a crappy secondary. Gabriel's getting about like 7-8 looks a week, and he's only $3,900. So if you sort of overspend, if you got Juju and Zeke in there, like I told you to, and wide receiver 3 or flex, you can slide that $3,900 in there for some value. As a guy you might want to take a look at. Okay, so Jimmy Graham, I usually don't draft Jimmy Graham or put him in DFS or anything, but I don't know, and call it a gut feeling, but I got him for a touchdown this week. He's $4,500. If you want to save a bit of money, you can go to Kittle. I think he's going to have a stable floor. I think he's going to have. I'll put him down for 6 targets this week. So we see where it goes from there. Tight end looks pretty crappy this week anyway. So I in my opinion, stay away from Gronk and some of the more expensive guys too. OJ Howard, $3,500. I like that setup this week. I like that value too. And then for defense, I like the Eagles at $3,300, and I like the Browns at $2,900. That's it. That's my story. All right, let's talk some trade stuff. Talk about some trades. All right, so we're 3 games into the season. So here's my strategy, and this should be yours too. Look for the guys that are 0-3, because that's a responsive market. Those are people that are starting to scramble. They're like, oh, I got to make the playoffs. And they're freaking out. And this is where you take some of their established star players that have had a bad 3 weeks, and you try to flip them, let's say less established player who is lighting it up. So look for, and a lot of guys, so these guys that spent a lot of their heavy draft capital on underperformers this week that have led them to being 3-0 are going to have guys like this on their team. They're going to have Rob Gronkowski on their team. That might be a guy you want to target. Keenan Allen, David Johnson, Kareem Hunt, Kenyon Drake, Larry Fitzgerald. These are the kind of guys that are, these guys have underperformed, and they're all like first, second, third round draft picks, more like first or second. And these guys might be reeling a little bit and freaking out. So package some players together that, throw them a lifeline or what they think is a lifeline. Get them to trade you Keenan Allen for some crap. Maybe not some crap, but you know what I mean? Like, look for these, because these guys are going to turn it around. So those are the guys I mentioned. Look at the comments below if I went through them too fast, because it'll be down there. All right, these are the guys I want, that you might want to consider bundling together in a package. Pat Mahomes, he's off to a great start, and I expect him to continue. I don't think that everybody's saying, oh yeah, the other shoe's going to drop. And he's a good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback, and he's going to have a very good season. He's going to have some bumps in the road, but we haven't seen him yet. But still, sell him high. Quarterbacks are streamable, right? So if you can, put him together with some other